So, Colt, we were just talking that actually you and I met in law school
Yeah,
in
we're also
2008.
I think it was about 17 years ago, give or take.
I don't know. There's not a lot of people I've known for 17 years.
Yeah, especially consistently in the same profession for 17 years.
That's right. And I'd say we both changed a lot over 17 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we both now have wives and 2 kids, so a lot of life experiences. We were at different law firms for a while. Ross took one path, I took another path, and then we ended up doing the same thing for a living and ended up at the same firm. And now we're actually able to work on cases for the people we represent together.
So let's talk a little bit just current events. Your wife's a judge now.
Yeah, my wife got elected to juvenile judge here in the 21st Judicial District. So that's, we're proud of her and proud of that accomplishment. And also, the main thing is, moving forward, we just look forward to helping out the community here.
So working at Dudley DeBosier, how's that helped you help the community?
Well, we're able to represent injured parties in Livingston, Tangipahoa, and St. Helena here in the 21st JDC, as well as the surrounding parishes. People come to us whenever they have an issue, whenever they've been injured, and they have an insurance company or a business or somebody that they can't deal with, and they want the best result for them and their family.
I know the clients are happy to have you here. Before you got here at Dudley DeBosier, if I had a client in Hammond or in Denham Springs, they would have to drive all the way downtown to come see me.
Yeah, now a lot of people, especially in the north, North Tangipahoa area, we're a lot closer here in the Denham Springs office, so people can come. They don't have to go into New Orleans. They don't have to go into Baton Rouge. They can come right here at Denham Springs, and we have an office for them to come and meet us here.
That's cool. And I said the clients would come drive to meet me, but what I've actually found, and this is true for people everywhere, but I think the people in Livingston Parish really appreciate it, is a home visit, going and meeting them.
Yeah, we can definitely, when we go out to their house, and some people will show us their garden, and I've had a few clients give me some fresh vegetables to bring home, and it's a really hometown feeling out here, and it's growing. We're growing very fast, but it's a hometown feeling, and it's nice to go to their home and see how they live, especially if we have a client like Mr. W we represented. He had a broke leg. Well, it was tough him getting up and down the stairs to get into his house, and you wouldn't have known that if you wouldn't have went to his house to see it.
How old was Mr. W?
Mr. W was over 70. I believe he was pushing 72, between 71 and 72.
And what kind of things did Mr. W care about?
The main thing Mr. W cared about was planting trees and vegetables with his granddaughter, or grandniece as he called her. She was a very pretty little girl, and that was his favorite thing to do, was gardening with her. And the main thing he couldn't do anymore after he broke his femur was that he wasn't able to garden with her.
What's that worth?
In your golden years, I don't know if you can put a value on it, but Mr. W, there was a certain amount of money that was available out there, and I don't think we left a penny on the table.
That's right. You said golden years, and if I keep an hourglass on my desk, and when I think about turning that hourglass upside down and the sand running out, when you represent a person who's older and 70 and 80 years old, when there's only a few grains of sand left in that hourglass, they tend to be worth a little bit more, in my mind, at least, when that's all you got left.
Yeah, it's very important to spend that time with the people you care about too. And, I know my grandpa was a big role model for me. I have a lot, had a lot of respect for him, and I owe him a lot. And whenever I was representing Mr. W, it felt like I was giving back to the old cowboy, the old bull rider grandpa that I had, that taught me right from wrong and raised me. So that was a really good feeling to give back to somebody who was at that stage in their life and needed help.
It feels like your grandfather's back there with you when you're connecting with a client that reminds you of them.
Right, when you have an elderly client, and the whole thing is like, man, they were in a tough spot. If I could help this old guy who was like helping out my grandpa and giving back to him, that, helped me, throughout the years, drove me to baseball games and stuff like that. This older guy, he needed some help, and we came in and we were able to, fast track getting his case to court by a special law that was found to get an elderly person into court faster.
Court dates are one of the most important resources that we have that the court can give to people. And there's a little known law that says if you're over 70, the court has to give you a quicker trial date than everyone else. And what's important about that is I believe the insurance company gave up and paid the maximum amount right before trial. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we had, we had less than a month before we were going to be picking a jury. And
so if the trial date would have been a year later, if you hadn't have found that law, if you hadn't asked the court to enforce it, and the trial date would have been a year later, Mr. W would have had to wait, I bet, a whole nother 11 and a half months to get his case settled.
We might still be waiting, because there's ways that, a court, their schedule starts blocking up and you might get a second or third trial setting. But since Mr. W was an elderly gentleman, we were able to get a first setting very fast. And, at the end of the day, it was the best thing for him. It was the best thing for his case. And he was able to get some closure to his case and move forward.
We're not using his name out of respect for him, but he left us a very nice 5-star Google review, very short and brief, and he said, thanks for the quick resolution.
Yeah, whenever you're in your golden years, you only have a few years left with your loved ones, the faster that you can resolve your lawsuit, that's the more time that you get to spend with those people in your life. And I think that was very important to him, that we made sure that it didn't take too much of his time that he had, to spend with those loved ones.
You talked about your grandfather. My grandfather was a Boilermaker in a union in the West Bank, and he had a bumper sticker on his lunchbox that said, the most important thing you can spend on your kids is time.
That's a very, very bold statement to make.
And true.
Yeah.
I think so. And, somebody who's in their 70s, they're no longer worried about lost wages. A lot of working parents, 30, 40, 50, if an injury takes you out of work, that's a catastrophe in the house, right? But when you're over 70 and you've retired, you don't need your health to be able to go to work and make money for some Exxon or some corporation or anything like that. But you need your health because you've worked that whole time to enjoy this time, those
right.
golden years with your loved ones.
Yeah, and the main thing is too, you work hard for that long, like Boilermaker. My grandpa was a land surveyor, so you work hard, and finally you get the golden watch or whatever you get at retirement, and then you get to spend that time with your grandkids. Well, if you're injured and you can't get any compensation for the injuries, well, it's going to be a hard road to go down if you can't do that,
And what about the indignity of it, of growing up in a country, paying your taxes, doing everything right? Then when somebody hurts you, you're just supposed to suck it up and deal with it, and there's no consideration for what you've gone through. I think getting justice for someone who's built the country, made us and built the country that we enjoy, and getting them dignity and justice, it feels good to give that to somebody who's earned it, really.
Yeah, and one of the other things too is like if an older person loses their independence, it really hurts them really hard. Because I remember whenever my grandpa was getting older, we had to limit his driving.
Oh, if they can't drive, that's bad.
And then we found out he had 3 pairs of car keys hidden around the house. So we took his car keys. We didn't know he had 3 extra sets. Yeah. So he's still driving, and we didn't even know. And
that's the thing about people that are older, and I've learned this as a lawyer. Came out, I was a 25-year-old lawyer. So if I had a 75-year-old client, they were 3 times my age. Yeah. What could I tell this person about life? If I hadn't been married, had kids, bought a house, loved and lost, or suffered tragedy, what can I tell a 75-year-old person? Because I got a diploma on my wall.
Well, they have something that we don't have, and they have a lot more wisdom. And so we have to respect that wisdom whenever we're representing them, and just realize, we're here to help you all with the specific aspect of your life. We're not here to tell you that we know everything,
right?
But if we can help them out and help them, that's one more thing, that we can help out with the community as opposed to just representing, you know, younger people. We can take care of the elderly also whenever they need something.
Somebody gets to be over 70, they've either figured out something about life or they have a really interesting story to tell. And I love the experience of being able to listen to it and take that wisdom from them.
Yeah.
You know, there's still things I learned from my grandfather, even though he's passed and he's not here. And when I'm in court and I'm thinking about all the laws I know and all the principles to explain, sometimes I really do the best by thinking, what would my grandfather say in this situation? And just explain it like he would explain it. And I've found incredible success just doing what I think my grandfather would have told me.
Here at Dudley DeBosier, we have some, you know, core aspects that we go by. And one of the main things is if you listen to the older generation, they can kind of let you know what's really important. You know, like what's important to them is something that you can look at in your own life and show like this might be something that I need to pay more attention to because these guys know what's important in life. And that time with those loved ones is something that, you know, they really cherish. Like planting, like Mr. W, planting the trees and the shrubs with the grandniece.
And I know you love hunting, you know, but what is enjoyable about hunting, and what about when it's the last hunt, or it might be the last hunt, or it might be the last fishing trip? These things start to.
You know, I still remember the last hunt with my grandpa. I mean, you know, we were in Wisconsin and we went on our last big hunting trip together, and you know, that'll be a memory that sticks with me for a long time.
I'm glad you had that memory.
Yeah, you know, and you know, it wasn't really about the hunt or anything like that. It was more about spending time together. Like the old saying goes, your kids think you're just fishing, or they think you're just hunting.
Right. That's a good song.
And that's not really what you're just doing.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap this video up here, I just want to, you know, kind of point out the privilege we have working at Dudley DeBosier. Chad Dudley's built this company, Steve DeBosier and James Pelche, where we have all these resources. People hire Dudley DeBosier, the case gets assigned to us, we get to meet them, but we get a lot of help to work on these cases. And now all we have to do is go listen to the people, find out what happened to them, and prove it and fight for the justice. That's all we got to do.
Yeah, and the main thing is too, you know, the support team we have here at Dudley DeBosier is second to none. Our support staff is awesome. And they hit the ground running as soon as we tell them we're headed to trial. We'll, you know, get all the information and try to represent somebody to the best of our ability.
So I got Amanda Bouye is my legal assistant.
My legal assistant is Kayla Autry.
And that's who the clients are going to talk to a lot as well and have relationships with. And we have Christy Alcanza,
who's a great trial paralegal. She's probably working on some cases for me today, and I know she works on some for Ross.
And it feels like there's a dozen other employees at Dudley DeBosier that are on our team that help.
You know, anybody from the runners to the intake department to everybody, they make this system run, and it runs very, very efficiently. And that's one thing that I love about working here is the efficiency of being able to help our clients.
So to tie a bow on this as we end, there was a movie I saw that called Civil Action with John Travolta. And they described, the perfect case was, you know, a man who was working and providing for the family and got hurt and lost his job, that was a good case. And there's been some thoughts that, well, if you're an older person, you're no longer working, that with the injury that happens to you doesn't have a lot of value because it's not taking away your ability to provide money any longer. But I think what's important is we don't think life is about just making money.
No, I mean, the most important thing is quality of life. So, I mean, like I said, this guy in his golden years, we were able to help him out and make his quality of life better. So, you know, I mean, and he has more hours during the day to enjoy than somebody that's at work all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? I mean, he's enjoying 24 hours a day, not just...
Some people hate their job.
Not just the hours he's not at work. I mean, he's enjoying every day. If he wants to go fishing, he goes fishing. You know, if he wants to tend the garden, tends the garden. So, you know, taking that many hours out of the day might be more important than some guy who's just working.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Colt, thanks for making this video with me.
Yeah, brother.
You know, they're going to keep putting out billboards and TV ads for Dudley DeBosier. But if people like this kind of video, I'm going to make some more interviews with the other lawyers and staff we have to put a personal face on what we're doing here at the firm.
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody needs any help, don't hesitate. Give us a call.
Thank you, man.
All right, man.